All right, you may be seated. Good morning, jurors. All right, you're still under oath. Okay.
Are we on the record?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and resume the video at 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Out the bathrooms, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna hurt somebody. I love horses, but I don't like horses because of westerns. Westerns have made me not like horses. Horses and guns just suck.
Hannah, are you a certified firearms instructor?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever taken like any courses or anything to become an instructor?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's required for this.
Yeah, and it might not be, but more just, your back.
And I'm sorry, Corporal, I myself couldn't hear what kind of an instructor you were asking her about. Can you summarize that?
Yeah, so I had asked her if she was a certified firearms instructor.
Okay, thank you.
Background and
Yeah,
your
totally.
interest in
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, mostly just trained with my dad. My dad, probably wouldn't send me to go train with someone else exactly,
Makes sense.
Yeah, he is kind of the industry.
So as far as the accidental discharges on set,
Can I just ask?
Okay,
Just stop.
so I think when
Are we good on hearing? Okay. Okay, thank you.
October 17th,
Okay.
they both occurred within 10 minutes of each other.
So they're on the same day?
They were on the same day, and it was chaotic for
Okay.
that little bit. But anyway, so I go to the bathroom. It's the first time I've been able to step off of set. I think it's like 4 or 2, maybe 3 o'clock. Finally get to step off set. I'm on the toilet, and all of a sudden I hear some screaming in my earpiece. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear Dave say, it's okay, everyone, it's just a misfire. And I go, what the fuck? So I run out of the bathroom with my pants halfway down. I'm running to set, trying to figure out what happened. And I walk up to set, and Sarah's loading the guns. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And she's all like, oh, good. I was like, what happened? She's like, nothing really. Can you load the one in there? And I say, okay, I'll go in there and I'll load that one, because I had been loading that Henry with that stuntman for quite some time now, probably most of the day. So I go in there and I load it with him. I load that one with him and I tell him, all right. So I said, all right, you got about 13 quarter or half loads in there. I can't really remember what it was for that particular scene. That might have been, the actors were outside, so those were probably quarters. So I tell him you have about 13 quarter loads in there. And he said, is there one in the chamber? And I said, yes. And he said, okay. And I said, okay. So don't touch the trigger. And he was like, okay. And I walk out. And then I go up to Sarah and I said, hey, what happened? And she was like, I heard there was a misfire, which is the wrong terminology for it even. That's an accidental discharge. So I was like, I heard there was a misfire or something. And she's like, yeah, I was loading it. And she's like, and it just went off. And I said, because I had to train her how to put them in and make sure that the hammer goes down gently enough. Because I asked her if she knew how to do that from Seth. And she's like, yeah, but let me just do it again a couple of times in front of you. And I saw her do it. And I was like, no. I was like, put your thumb all the way over the trigger. I mean, not the trigger, the hammer. Otherwise, if you don't put it all the way over, your hands will be sweaty sometimes and it'll slip. And so she was loading it, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. Like I said, I was in the bathroom, but guns don't just go off like that. And if you're loading it, it's most likely that you made a mistake just loading it and that the hammer came down too quick.
Okay.
And, when you're in a rush, that can happen. It hasn't happened to me, but I can understand it happening. And then as soon as that had happened and I walked outside and I was asking her about that, next thing I know, boom, inside of the fucking thing. And I already told him this gun was hot. I know for a fact I did, and we were doing that scene all day. So this man knows this gun is hot. And then I go in there and I said, what the fuck are you doing in here? And he tells me, he's like, I don't know, it just went off. And I was like, well, it's a lever action rifle, and that's not really how that works, bud. You know? So, pissed him off a little bit, but I said, all right, be careful in here. Thankfully, we were doing that scene pretty much all day, so I think a lot of camera had their earplugs in, but
It was inside when it went off then?
it was inside of this, little shack that they were in, and most of the camera crew was in there at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one was inside, and then there was also a popper misfire with special effects.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the day that we first started shooting and everything. We had pretty good luck with that. Every time, we got done with the scene, I count all the shots. So I know if there's still a hot gun on set. So I was looking for that, and most of the time I would just run to the actor and be like, don't touch it, it's hot still.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as when Sarah's gun went off, is that possible if you like drop the hammer too quickly that it can discharge?
Yeah, totally. And
Without
it was
pulling the trigger?
yeah, no, that happens.
Okay.
Well, see, that's the thing. No, so you have to pull the trigger in order to bring that hammer all the way down, So you have your finger on the hammer, and in order to get the hammer to release back to a position where the person could grab it and do the scene, you have to touch the trigger and slowly lower the hammer down. If you touch the trigger, it'll just send the hammer down. So if your finger isn't there to stop it while you're loading it, it's going to come down and shoot it.
So now I understand why that can
That-
everybody has said
so-
that it happens often, of this kind of stuff. So I would
That
assume that was-
totally can happen often, and it's just because ultimately you do have to lower down that hammer again in order to start the scene. You can't give it to the actor cocked back and everything, So yeah, and it's the same with a lot of even my 22. I have to do that as well. I'll bring it back. There's a little piece that stays back, and unless I hold that and slowly release it while holding my trigger, that would go off too.
Interesting.
So even my
I don't
Walther
know a
P.
lot about revolvers.
And that's just my Walther P22. That's not a revolver. That's just a regular magazine.
In order to load these, does the hammer have to be back?
It has to be half cocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, and then you have to bring it back all the way, or you can bring it back from a half cock, but it helps to bring it back all the way and just bring it down slowly.
Okay. After both of those accidental discharges, what happened?
So this day is kind of when Sarah and I butt heads. Because ultimately, after hers, I was livid. And then after that one, I was furious. And so I tell her, I was like, no, dude, I was like, what just happened? And I'm getting heckled by the fucking stuntman at this point. I said, no, dude, that wasn't okay. We need to talk to production about this because a lot of people are probably pissed about that because it happened within 10 minutes of each other, two of them. And I was like, oh my God, I literally screamed out, what the fuck is happening? But so I told Sarah, I was like, hey, we should probably talk to production about that. And Sarah is embarrassed at this point. She's shaking. Her face is pretty mad. And she's not really responding to me too much. I said, well, you did that while loading it. And I was like, so I'm not sure if people are going to want you loading the guns anymore. And she was like, well, yours just went off in there after you loaded it. And I said, yeah, well, I can't be responsible for every dickhead fucking stunt guy that gets a hold of the gun and doesn't understand the concept that it's hot.
Right.
And she was like, all right, well, so we'll go ahead. So I was like, we need to talk to production. I'll let you talk to them. I'm not trying to get us in trouble here. I'm just saying we need to mind this because a lot of people are probably pissed. And the next thing I know, I get a text from Seth. So she was there. She was mad, angry texting. And I thought she was probably talking to the producers. And the next thing I know, I get a text from Seth. And Seth tells me, Sarah told me about her accidental discharge. It was an accident. Accidents happen. You need to get over it. And I said, get over it. I was like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm not making a big deal about this. I was like, I'm not going to production to rat on her. I don't know what the fuck you're going on about.
So there was nobody from production in the area.
I think there was people from production in the area. I think there were like two, the regular chubby producer, he was there, and I think Nathan might have even been there.
And nobody.
They were there a lot. No one said anything. Sarah apologized on the spot, I guess. I didn't really apologize for that because I'm just trying to figure it out at this point, and I don't know what that guy did.
Who was the stuntman?
I don't even know his name. I think his name was Blake. Yeah, they also didn't have me train him at all with the gun, and he's Alex's stunt double, mind you. So, you know, Alex's stunt double. So he probably should have at least been trained, but also Alan, the stunt coordinator, was like, all my guys know what the fuck they're doing, so don't worry about them. So, yeah, didn't get to work with that guy. And back to like the set thing, I went up to Sarah about it, and I was like, hey, I texted her, and I was like, I'm sorry if you thought I was trying to start problems about this. I was just trying to say that we should tell production because I don't want, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we both got fired for that. I wouldn't, like, you know, we need to make sure that everyone still feels comfortable after that. And she said, right, she said, no, I understand. I contacted Gabby and Ro about it, and I went ahead and told Seth, and I apologized to everyone on the spot, and I think they're going to just move past this and move by it. And I was like, okay, cool, as long as you contacted the producers.
Okay. But
Other than that,
didn't ever see her actually contact them?
No, I didn't. And also, at that point, I had already pissed her off, and she went to Seth about it, so I wasn't going to fuck with that anymore, and I just let her handle it.
Okay.
Because
and you
ultimately,
producers yourself?
No, because she was my boss and already was yeah.
Okay. To your knowledge, do you know of any reports being made about those?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been wondering recently if she did talk to them, and no one from production talked to us about it, which I thought was pretty weird. You know, like no one even said like, all right, guys, like, you know, get your shit together. Like no one said anything to us, at least to me directly.
Was, so when Sarah's went off, what happened? Did you take the gun after that, or what happened with it after?
After that, you know, we just had to keep loading it for the stunt guys, and ultimately, after hers went off, I didn't exactly have the option. We had 3 people that needed to be loaded right then.
Okay.
So I didn't exactly have the option to take Sarah off of guns that day. And also, she is my boss, so I'm not allowed to take her off of guns. Yeah, she does continue to load.
Okay. Even after that?
Yeah.
After her discharging. Who unloaded them that day?
Unloaded them from the blanks?
Yeah.
Both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and we unload them as we get them in from the actor as soon as they're done doing the scene.
You and Sarah, though?
Yeah. Pretty much any big gun battle in this entire thing, we were both loading and unloading the guns.
What about that, the special effects, that squib or whatever that went off?
It was like a popper. I'm not sure if they had a squib go off. I never saw that. It's like a popper. It's like a thing that hangs from the ceiling, and it's filled with like little debris and things like that. But they were all supposed to go off for a scene, and one didn't go off. And then like maybe 2 minutes after the scene, it just like randomly went off, and people were like, "Oh shit!" But we were outside, so it wasn't too bad, you know.
Were you present so you weren't present when it went off?
The popper?
Yeah.
I was present.
Okay.
I was outside, and I was a little, like maybe 20 feet away from it.
Okay.
I wasn't directly on the porch, so a lot of people on the porch were obviously freaked out, but I was pretty far away.
Okay. Do you know if any reports were made for that one?
For that popper? Oh, I have no idea. I know, especially if it's not my department, I wouldn't really know about it. I didn't make any reports.
And I just want you to confirm, were guns ever taken out after hours, on lunch, on days off?
These guns absolutely were locked up every single moment that me and Sarah were not there, to my knowledge.
Going
And
back,
then including lunch every day.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then going back to that, accidental discharge with Sarah, I know you said that you weren't there, you were in the bathroom.
Yes,
Um,
I was there for the second one
okay.
with
Is
the
it,
stuntman.
and is it okay for you to walk off when they have?
It's
blanks
okay.
being used?
Sometimes, like I said, we were doing a lot of gun battles that whole entire day, and ultimately there was only 2 people shooting at the time, and I told Sarah, I was like, I need to use the bathroom right now or I'm literally going to piss my pants. And I told Dave that I was going to the bathroom too. So if I tell them I step off, and they know that.
Okay,
Because ultimately, you can't hold it sometimes.
right.
Yeah. And it really sucked that day too, because the bathrooms were like far as shit.
All right, we're gonna go, day of the incident, okay? Okay. So the box of ammo that you pulled from that day,
Yeah. Box of dummies.
where did you pull that box from?
So that box, it was kind of peculiar actually. Now that I've thought about it a little more, because we had been looking for the 45 long Colt dummies, and we hadn't had a lot of them because, like I said, we used up a lot of mine at the beginning, if not all of them. And so we had to order some 4440s, which are kind of a similar size. And then we did get some 45 long Colts a little before that, probably before that weekend. And we put pretty much all of that entire box in Travis Finnell's gun belt.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so this box, I hadn't been aware of any more long Colt boxes and everything. And this box was kind of just sitting right next to my safe on like this kind of extra bag that I bring to carry guns in.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought it was kind of weird. Looking back at it now, it was kind of just like sitting on top of my stuff. And considering the prop truck got moved over the weekend, I don't know like how easily that would have stayed up there.
And this box was there in the morning. Can you elaborate on that when you get there? Because I think it's a significant issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So this wasn't one of the original boxes that were provided though?
No, and it was weird. I think it just said dummies on it. Like
Okay.
nothing else. I saw just the word dummies on it from what I could remember, which is not the regular font I'm used to seeing on it either.
And it's propped up in your bag.
Yeah. It's propped up in my bag, just like sitting on top of stuff, like not falling over in the bag, because it was on top of something. So like, it seems weird that it wouldn't have fallen over while moving.
Do you remember which bag it was?
It was like, it was either above a Smith & Wesson bag. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's like it says Smith & Wesson, and I marked it out with Sharpie so that way people wouldn't rob my car. And then there's another black bag that I had too. They were both like there were 2 black bags kind of usually stacked on top of each other.
Okay, so the box that you pulled out of that day though was on that bag?
Yeah,
Okay, and
it was just kind of sitting up there, and I remember I was like looking for, blanks to pull, dummies to pull, and I saw that box, and I was like exclaimed, and I was like, where the fuck did this like box of dummies come from? I was like, have we had this the entire time? I was like, we've been needing these. Yeah, Nicole just laughed, and I don't really remember if Sarah was there or not. But I said, like, oh, well, whatever. At least we have them now. Put them on the cart, and they went out with us.
okay.
And as I picked them up, they were jingling. So that indicates that they were dummies.
Okay. Had you seen the box prior to that point?
I hadn't really noticed that box prior to that point, but I think I had noticed a box that looked similar to it that we had gotten those newer ones from. And I think I remembered like a box similar to that. And it might have been the same box even.
Okay.
This was maybe, because we didn't put those dummies back in there though, but that's the only other box that looked like that box. Was one of those newer boxes that we got. And I think it just said like just dummies on it.
Corporal, based based on your understanding of dummy rounds and how an armorer would check dummy rounds, based on your investigation, is it possible to determine that every round in a box is a dummy round if you just shake the entire box?
No,
Because if you just shake the box, how can you tell?
I mean, yeah, you could more than likely hear some of them jingling, but it wouldn't be, feasible to point out that every single one of those had BBs in it.
So, based on your interaction with Ms. Gutierrez during this part of the interview, I just want to be clear. Was it your impression that she claimed that this was a box she'd never seen before?
Yeah, that's what she stated.
So it was a box she'd never seen before and she just decided to grab it and start loading guns with it
Yes,
after shaking the entire box?
yes,
Not each round, the box itself.
correct, just the box.
No lettering, anything of the sort?
No, lettering or anything like that. I think I just saw the word dummies.
It doesn't say caliber on it?
I don't believe it did. It might have said long Colt on the other side. I don't really remember.
Okay,
LC, maybe.
all right.
I don't know.
So, at the beginning of the day, before lunch, how many guns were pulled out?
Okay. Can I have like a piece of paper or something? Just because like there's a lot of people in this, you know.
Yeah, I have some, probably a few.
There we go.
I'm like, I feel like you're running out of
I'm running
paper.
out of right now.
All right, so, you know, there's Alec Baldwin's character. This is Russ. Jensen's character, Woods, Drum, and we have a Miller over here. And so these are the ones that were being used today. And also, I think Boone was coming in later that day, but I don't think we pulled his gun. So check this out. Miller has 2 pistols and a long rifle. There we go. Russ has a pistol, a long barrel one, different than everyone else's really. Long barrel. And he also has a Henry rifle. So at this point, that's like 3 guns, 4, 5. And then Wood has a gun, and he also has a long gun. So that's another pistol and another rifle. Oh wait, he has a shotgun, my bad. And the Drum also has a shotgun and a pistol.
Okay. And those were all prior to lunch?
These are all prior to lunch, yes. So I think that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 5 pistols and 4 long guns, 2 shotguns.
Okay.
And if you would like, that's yours.
You might need that.
Okay.
Well, we can illustrate a little more, so keep it.
Cool.
Were they loaded?
Prior to lunch?
Yeah.
So what you have to understand about before lunch is that we were at another location for half of the day before lunch. And then we had gotten done with that location and we moved up to the church.
Okay.
Right? So during the day, at the beginning of the day, none of those were dummied up at all because the shot was so wide. You just wouldn't see it.
So there was nothing in these?
There was nothing in these until we got to the church.
Okay. But still prior to breaking for lunch?
Yes, still prior to breaking to lunch. So if you had to break up the day like that, you could split before lunch into 2 things. One where we were somewhere else entirely and nothing was dummied up, and after that, we were in the church and things started to get dummied up, but weren't dummied up right away.
Okay. So then which ones of these were loaded prior to lunch? Yes.
Okay. Wood dummies prior to lunch, Wood and Drum's pistols were dummied up. Sarah helped me dummy those up.
Okay.
And a little later on, the camera started getting in on Russ. And so Russ got his dummied up maybe an hour and a half before lunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything with Miller?
Miller was not in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so Miller's character was coming later in the day. Yeah, so he wasn't in the church at all. So honestly, I'm pretty sure that we put away his 2 pistols and his long rifle for a good proportion before lunch, because we always try to put them away as we're not using them and lock them up.
Okay. So the only ones dummied up though are the pistols.
Yeah, 3 pistols. And they should have both been used at the time of the incident. Like, they were both, all 3 of those were out there.
Okay. So who loaded what gun?
Sarah and I loaded woods and drums. I don't really remember who they are, identical guns, so you wouldn't really know.
Okay.
And then Rust, I dummied that one up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all the dummy rounds.
All the dummy rounds, yeah. And we were shaking them and checking them as we did it, yeah. And then some of them didn't have to be shaked, but yeah.
And why didn't they have to be?
They didn't have primer caps on them. And sometimes I accidentally still like shake the ones with holes in them, just thinking that they're gonna shake, and then I like realize. Yeah, that's the only time where I've ever like thought there was a bad one, is like when I shake it and I don't hear anything, and then I realize I'm like, oh, it's the ones I don't shake.
Can you recall when you loaded, whichever ones you loaded, what specific rounds you put in them?
Yes, okay. So for the Rust pistol, the wooden drum, I don't exactly remember those, you know. I think most of those, not exactly sure what was up with those. But for the Rust one, I remember I had 4 of them without primer caps, because I always try to use those ones ultimately. I have 4 of them without primer caps, and then I grabbed some dummies from that box, and I like brought them in there, and I was walking in with his belt right here, and I'm walking in holding the 4 no primer cap ones and some extra ones too. And there were 2 that like could have been shaken, so I'm shaking them both as I walk in, and I walk in and I put the 4 no primers in there. And then I like look at my hand and I notice there's one with a hole in the side. So I use that one next. And then I try to put one of the ones that shook in there, but it won't go in. And so at that point, I show Dave, I leave that one out because I noticed like that needs to be clean. So I leave it out. I move the cylinder to a location.
Corporal, when you were in the room interviewing Ms. Gutierrez, did she physically demonstrate that she was shaking 2 dummies at one time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Where you wouldn't notice that one isn't in there. Yeah. So I move it to where you wouldn't be able to see that, and then I go ahead, I show Dave, he watched me do it too that time. This is before lunch, and I walk out after handing it and showing it to Alec too.
Okay. So before breaking for lunch, there was only 5 rounds in that gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then I proceeded from that one that wouldn't go in, I just set it on the cart after that.
okay. The 4 that you got without the primer,
Yeah.
where were those pulled from?
Those were pulled from my pocket.
From your pocket?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other 2 were pulled from that box.
Corporal, when you interviewed Ms. Gutierrez on October 21st, she had some dummy rounds in her pocket, correct?
Yes, she did.
Do you remember how many she had?
She had 5, I believe.
Do you recall how many of those didn't have primer caps?
I believe 4 of them had the holes, but I don't remember how many didn't have primer caps.
Okay. I may ask you on a break to go back and review that, or I'll try to find it for you. Is it your understanding on October 21st, when you interviewed her, that the dummy rounds that she pulled out of her pocket were rounds that she had taken out of the gun?
No.
All right. So in addition to what she is describing to you now, apparently she had 5 additional dummy rounds in her pocket.
Yes, she did.
All
Yeah.
Do you remember about what time you loaded these guns?
Not exactly. I would maybe guess like 10:30 for Russ, maybe 10. And then for the other two, they were loaded like maybe 30 minutes before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fairly early.
Yeah, pretty early in the day. Starts super early.
When you broke for lunch, none of the rounds were taken out of any of these guns.
No, none of those were taken out. We just put them in socks and we brought them to the truck. And from there, we put them into the safe.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the safe loaded with them.
with the dummies, yeah. Still
Yeah,
dummied
that's
up.
what I mean, but.
Yeah, just so we're clear, yeah, just with the dummies.
Okay. And the other two guns were full.
Yeah, the other two guns still were dummied up, yeah.
Okay. So who physically put these back in the safe?
You know, I'm pretty sure Sarah was doing it at the time, and I was kind of just down on the ground, like handing them up to the prop truck because I had a really bad headache.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't try to climb up there or anything because my head was like pounding.
And did you guys, take them to the truck with the cart, or did you just carry them?
We just carried them.
Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez tell you that she was, on October 21st, her head was pounding?
Yes.
She indicated she had a headache?
Yes, she did.
And just to be clear, the interview that we're watching right now, this interview was done less than 3 weeks after Ms. Hutchins died.
Yeah, this one was on November 9th.
Thank you.
We left the cart there at lunch.
And was all the ammo in that cart?
Yeah.
And was there some in the truck still?
Yeah, there's always gonna still be like blanks in the truck because we wouldn't ever need to bring all of them out,
Okay.
you know.
How many boxes do you think are left on that cart?
On the cart, I would guess like maybe, I had some shotguns, I would guess maybe 10 boxes
All on the bottom, or?
on the bottom. On the bottom, and then there was, you know, the dummies on the top that we were taking from.
Okay, so just one box on the top.
I think just one box on the top. I might have been preparing some things beforehand and dumped some quarter loads into my fanny pack or whatever and left a box up there that was empty.
All right, so after lunch, who took the guns out of the safe?
After lunch, not really sure. Don't really remember that too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been
One of
you
the,
or Sarah, right?
yeah, me or Sarah. Yeah, like I said, I kind of had a headache and I was like getting over it, so.
And they were all still in the socks?
They were all still in socks, yes.
How do you know which ones to pull? If they're all
We leave the handles out,
of the guns?
yeah.
Okay.
And then also I set them, so normally like there's a bulk of them up on the very top. I'll kind of set them on like the sides where the rifles like heads go if I need to access them quickly. And then there's, if you saw the gun safe, there's also like holsters on the side. So we would usually put Jensen and Swin wooden drums guns over there because they're the two sheriffs and they go together.
Okay.
And then we would just put Russ gun like kind of below all the other guns too.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you pulled them back out, did you guys check the rounds in them?
We didn't, we brought them to set
Okay.
as they were in the socks still.
Okay. Were they ever reopened?
The guns? I'm not too sure. I reopened the Russ gun. I'm not sure about the wooden drum.
Okay.
Sarah was mostly working on propping those guys up. The Russ gun, I opened up after lunch because I remembered that it was dirty, and I remembered that I was like, all right, we're about to start shooting out of it. So I go and I put the little cleaning guy that I have, I open it up, put the cleaning guy through, take one out of the box, shake it. And at this point, after I had put the cleaning guy through, Dave's in my ear and he's like, hey, we need the gun in here. And I'm like, okay. So I start to bring the gun in there, shake it, put it in as I'm walking in, and then I bring it to Dave. I show Dave like all of the cylinder, and then I tell him it's dummied up, and I say, all right, oh yeah, and he's like, it's okay, it's just, he's like getting talked to at this point, by the way, too, by Halyna and Joel, and he's sitting there, and he's like, can you just hand me the gun because I'm gonna sit in with it? And I said, okay, and I showed him it, and then I walked out after showing it to him and handing it to him. So he was just supposed to be sitting in with it.
Okay. So you clean it, but then grab another round from that box.
Yeah,
You didn't pull one, because you said that you had put it on the cart.
yeah, I didn't pull that same one.
Okay. Any issues when you put that round in that time?
No.
Okay.
And I think it's because it was clean.
So would you say it's your responsibility to check the guns after they come back out,
They come back out.
like when they were brought back out from lunch?
Yeah, it's my responsibility to check them into the actor as they go out to the actor.
So not to check the rounds again,
I wouldn't really check it unless it was going to set.
but it did go to set.
Yeah, it went to set and I checked it with Dave.
Okay. Did you do any other, I know that you have different processes for checking these guns. Did you do any other check on that gun?
I did some barrel obstruction check too, also, because, while that round was in there, you're able to pull the hammer back slightly, look down the barrel and see if there's anything in the barrel for that. So I did a barrel check on that gun.
Did you see anything at that point?
No.
Okay. That round that you pulled out of the box,
Corporal, do you understand the description that Ms. Gutierrez gave of how she was able to do a barrel check?
That she pulled the hammer back a little bit to check it.
Did she indicate, and I'm sorry, if you recall, did she indicate whether or not there was a dummy or whether it was the cylinder was loaded with dummies?
She didn't indicate at that point.
Okay. If a revolver cylinder is loaded with anything, can you see down the barrel?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
last time that you loaded,
Yeah.
what did that look like?
It looked like the dummies that don't have the hole in the side or anything.
Okay. Did you notice anything different about any of the rounds that went in?
No.
Because you said that you spun it with Dave, right?
Yeah, I spun it with Dave.
Okay. And you didn't notice anything different?
No, I didn't notice anything different.
And 4 out of those.
I was also getting talked at with Dave and everything, and I'm just mostly trying to show it to Dave.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
while also looking at it, yeah.
makes sense. But the 4 of them still have the depressed primers?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the 2 didn't?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think someone would potentially put live ammo on?
Corporal, what's your understanding of, after the incident, where the gun was unloaded?
So in Hannah's interview, she said that Dave Halls had brought that revolver over to her, and she had checked and unloaded that weapon over the prop cart.
And have you seen photos of those rounds that were taken from the prop cart?
Yes,
Do you know, are there 4 dummy rounds with depressed primers?
I believe there was.
Thanks.
I mean, the same way you would put the dummies or the blanks in there, opening it up and putting it in there.
Okay. And you're talking about the dummy boxes?
What? Yeah.
The box from that morning?
What do you? So I'm saying, like, you would, if you wanted to load this with a live, potentially, you would just pull it back half cock and put it in there.
I don't know if you
But-
understood her question.
I don't think I am.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so, but you said that you loaded each and every one of those rounds. So
Yeah.
how would you say that a live round got in this box that you pulled from?
I'm not entirely sure if someone put a live round into that box or not. I checked those to the best of my abilities. I was walking in, shaking it in my ear, and I thought I heard it shake for sure.
When do you think somebody would have had the opportunity to put a live round?
You know, hard to speculate on that exactly, but, you know, that gun, it was on Alex most of the day, and then also it was on top of our cart sometimes too, and there were times when I was gone to the bathroom, you know, and like I said, I gotta pee, you know. And I tell the girls to watch the cart and everything, but sometimes the girls get distracted by the actors.
Hey, you need to elaborate on the box, because you're missing that part of the question.
Okay.
How that could have gotten in that box.
So, I mean, honestly, that box was sitting out all day. And when I picked up that box, I heard it jingle, like the whole box jingle. So that, to me, was saying, like, you know, this is a box of dummies, you know, still check everyone for the jingle. But, so definitely some of those were 100% dummies, you know, and I don't know, someone possibly could have done something at lunch. The box could have already had some live one in it in the morning, and you probably wouldn't have noticed, unless you picked it up. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when that could have got in there, and honestly, it could have been in there from the beginning of it.
Okay. Where was the prop cart?
The prop cart, so that's another thing. The prop cart like moved significantly after the incident.
What, I mean, I'm not, everything.
Well, the statement that Ms. Gutierrez just made, that the prop cart had moved significantly after the incident, is that consistent with what she told you on October 21st?
No.
I moved after the incident. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's not really,
All right. Cool.
you know, of a concern, but during lunch.
So during lunch, it was still in the same spot where I told you guys, you know, front of the church, the doorway here, your guys' squad car over here that I was sitting in, my little cart over here next to a black tent.
Makes it easier for you.
Well,
That was actually the last thing she said.
Yeah, so about over here. And there also was a black truck there earlier that day.
Okay.
So I'm right by that black tent.
Okay.
A little behind it because I don't want people, you know, touching it.
Okay. So cart's there prior to you guys leaving for lunch, and it's in the same spot.
And Corporal, how about the detail about the black truck? Is that something that was pointed out to you on the 21st, or is that new?
That's new.
Yeah.
Where was the prop truck? Or is it that truck that's there?
The prop truck, whew. The prop truck is, the prop truck's like all the way over here.
So down at like the end of the town.
Yeah, down at the end of the town, like way over there. Right as soon as you get in those gates, next to the gallows, it's across from the gallows.
There's a couple more.
Okay, cool.
Might help, might not help, but
Yeah.
that's the search.
I was like, what the
Without
fuck
all
is
the
that?
Google Maps.
I was like, what the hell? Anyway,
So way down at the end.
yeah, it would be,
Corporal, do you recall what photograph you're handing her?
Yeah, so I'm not sure who took these photographs, but we were able to locate some aerial views online of the rust set, which is what I was showing her there.
Thank you.
that's why we kind of keep a lot of the stuff on us because they don't like to move the prop truck, especially closer to the stuff. So it was pretty far away. You remember where you took me to the bathroom?
Yeah,
Past that.
so that's the like very
Yeah, it was
in town.
right like when you would maybe get pull up and like the vans are there to take people,
Yeah.
that's where the prop truck usually stays.
So you guys have to pull guns from way down there and then bring them all the way.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like a pretty good distance.
It's a pretty good distance, and then that's why we also didn't want to bring the cart all the way back to the prop truck.
So it got left by that tent.
Yeah.
Nothing was too different about it after.
Nope, and we have done this a couple of times on, especially on like big shooting days and everything, just because we are out there like in the boonies with like sticks, snakes, all that crazy stuff, and big rocks, so yeah, a few times we just left it there during lunch.
Who all uses that cart?
Just me, Sarah, Nicole, props.
It though.
Yeah, that's it for the cart. Usually people will try to set their stuff on there and I quickly shoot them away.
Okay.
Some people still like to put their stuff on it to rile me. But yeah,
Is it more in a joking manner? Or-
I don't know. They just like, they know I don't like them to do it and they still do it anyways and, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's common to leave it out
Yeah.
when you guys break for lunch.
Mhm.
I mean, what about, at night?
At night, we bring the cart in at night.
Where does it go?
It goes in the truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this day, there's obviously ammo on it
Mhm.
when it was left out.
Yes.
Okay. All right, after lunch, how many guns came back to set?
Okay. I'm pretty sure because we were getting into the nitty grits of it, you know, we were about to start shooting indoors and ultimately, we weren't going to be seeing the horses outside. So I didn't bring the two shotguns. I brought one of the shotguns of wooden drums. And so here's the thing about that day. I was bickering with the stunt coordinator all day because he wanted to shoot 2 pistols before every shot just to make smoke and everything in front of the camera. And I was like, no, that's just like extremely uncommon. And he's like, well, we did it on dead for $1. I was like, no, that we're not doing that. But I brought a shotgun in case, like, you know, we could just do one big one if the director really wanted it, but we weren't planning on really doing it. It was just more of Joel, like, pushed for it. So we only brought the rust pistol, the drum pistol, and the wood pistol, and then also a shotgun.
Okay, and you guys pulled all 4 of those out at the same time?
Yeah.
Did anybody have to go back for anything?
I know that I think I brought him there, and then I immediately went to the bathroom after before we started getting into stuff.
Okay.
So I brought them to the set, and then I immediately had to go pee.
Did you already give Dave the gun?
No. At this point, no one had asked for the guns yet, and they were just supposed to be on the cart.
Okay. Did
In the
anybody
socks.
stay with Cart?
I told Sarah and Nicole too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were they still there when?
Sarah was flirting with Jensen, and I don't really remember if Nicole was nearby, but Sarah was pretty close to the cart still. Yeah.
All right. So 3 pistols, 1 shotgun. Nobody went back to the truck for anything.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I went back to the truck, and I don't think Sarah sent Nicole back to the truck. Like I said, I went to the bathroom, and I didn't really.
But no other guns were pulled out
No,
besides those 4.
they shouldn't have been pulled out. No.
What time did you come back from lunch?
I'm not entirely sure. Usually our lunch goes from 12:30 to like 1:30ish.
Okay. What time frame do you think there was between when you guys came back from lunch to you pulling the guns back out?
Coming back from lunch, you know, we get in the vans from base camp. So we probably take 5 minutes getting from the base camp to the set. And then from that point, we hop right off of the thing and we grab the guns and everything and we go straight over.
Okay.
Especially because, like, you know, you don't want to be late.
All right. So did you grab the cart, take it back to the prop truck, or did you just carry the guns?
We just carry from when we came back from lunch,
Mhm.
we just carried the guns to the cart.
Okay.
Yeah, because we brought them there from the cart, brought them back from the truck to the cart after lunch.
Okay. And then who carried what gun?
I'm not exactly sure. They were still in the socks, you know?
You'd know if you'd carry a shotgun compared to a pistol, though, right?
Yeah, totally. Maybe Nicole was holding a shotgun and I had a pistol and Sarah had two.
Okay.
Or maybe someone's holding, like, we all kind of just had to hold, like, gun belts, props, you know, not to mention, like, badges and things like that. So
You're just carrying.
we're just all trying to carry all the shit that we have to bring every time.
Okay. So how long would you say, so you guys went straight from the prop truck, took him to the cart,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, and then obviously you have to take all these socks and everything off these guns. Who took them off?
So, like I said, I went to the bathroom at this point. I'm not really sure if Sarah had started doing anything else from that point. All I remember is that I remembered the rust gun was dirty, and so I grabbed the rust gun, took it out of the sock, and proceeded to do the whole cleaning thing I told you about.
Okay. All right.
Which I thought it was pretty weird that, like, they immediately needed the gun in there, like, that quickly after lunch. Usually things take a little while for camera to get set up and everything, you know?
Okay. You cleaned the gun, put that last round in it, and then how long would you say that took?
I think 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where does the gun go after that?
Excuse me. So the gun after that walks in with me and it goes to Dave. Try to show it to Dave. Dave's getting talked at.
Inside or outside of the church?
Inside. He's sitting in the pew, and I think he's supposed to be Russ or someone. And from what I understood, it was just supposed to be a shot where, like, he's sitting there with the gun ready. And then also Dave was just sitting in with it, and then I was going to come back in whenever Alec got there. But Alec got there and no one called me in.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to do that last check before Alec got it because I had no idea that the gun had been handed off. And also the video village, due to the camera crew quitting that day, wasn't working. So I had no way to see in there.
Okay. So you opened the gun for Dave
Mm-hmm.
to do the check,
Mm-hmm.
inside or outside of the church?
Inside.
Okay.
It was open already because, you know, I put it in there and I walked in putting it in and I just left it open rather than
And
closing
what did
it.
that check consist of?
The check consists of me spinning the cylinder for Dave and telling him that it was gummied up.
All right. Did that gun go to anyone else? Is that, you know, did it go, because obviously it was in the sock. Did anybody else have a handle on that gun?
After lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not that I could tell. Yeah.
Okay. Did Nicole ever handle the gun? Russ's gun?
She only handled it the day before, just like brought it down to me from the cart.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not the day of the incident?
No.
All right. So you give it to Dave, and then where do you go at that point?
I give it to Dave and I step outside because we're about to start shooting and I was getting like all my stuff ready. And also he was
What do you
just,
mean by getting your stuff ready?
getting my fanny pack filled up and, you know, getting my pockets like lined with different types of blanks and everything because I have a pocket system where all the halves go on one side, all the quarters go over here. This is my dummy pocket and yeah, these are my empty pockets and sometimes I use my butt pockets if I need to. So like Sarah, usually I would just set my fanny pack up for her, even though I like to have both on me because Sarah doesn't understand the importance of pockets. But so I would set that up for her and I would start getting my pockets and everything ready.
So it's pretty common for you to put stuff in like your pants pocket, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Common to put mostly blanks in there, yeah. And then also some trash, you know, like, you can't exactly just throw trash around and you eat stuff, so it's just a lot of pockets, so that's why I like those pants. You can, yeah.
So you hand the gun to Dave, and then did you see what he did with it at that point?
At that point, he was just sitting in with it and not moving it at all. Just holding it.
Okay.
And his finger wasn't in the trigger guard or anything.
Obviously this gun goes in Alec's bandolier, does cross draw with it.
Yeah, which I was already worried about that because he hadn't really trained with that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I texted his assistant the night before and wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with that, but they said that he was fine and that, yeah, they were gonna figure it out and stuff, so.
Do you have that text message still?
Yeah,
We do have that.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. So he was just sitting with it. Obviously it's not in a holster.
No,
Did you see when he handed it to Alec?
no, I was outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that much time had gone by. I think I was outside for maybe like 10 minutes after I had handed it off to Dave.
That the incident happened?
Yeah,
Or,
before, yeah, and then the incident happened like 10, 15 minutes.
okay. So you take it into the church and give it to Dave. Did you ever make an announcement about it being a Colt gun or anything of the sort? What did you explain to Dave?
I told Dave, I said, the gun is dummied up.
Okay.
From lunch.
All right. Let's go back to this little guy right here. Where were you standing?
When it happened?
Yep.
I was at my cart.
You were at the car when it happened.
Yeah, I think we had moved it up ever so slightly from that point to a little closer, or maybe it was back there and that truck had just moved, actually. I'm not really entirely sure. But yeah, I was right there, and I was getting my stuff ready.
Was this scene eventually supposed to contain, and I'm gonna say live fire, and it's not, but like blank fire?
The scene, what we had been doing all morning was supposed to lead up to the scene that we were supposed to be doing blank fire in, but this particular shot was not.
Okay. But eventually it would have gotten to that point pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. After the incident, I know that you had explained that you ran inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The incident occurred, and I like kind of didn't really flinch at it even. And Sarah said, "What was that?" And I said, "I don't know." And Sarah said, "Was that the gun?" And I said, "There's no way that could be the gun." And then next thing you know, I hear like in the earpiece, like set medic emergency, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? And I thought it was like a popper that had blown someone's arm off or something. But I go over to the front of the church and I look in and I see people on the ground and I'm like, oh my God. And I said, was that the gun? And Dave said, yeah, it was the gun. And to which I go inside, scream, and then they yell at me, and then I walk back out. I ask for the gun. Dave brings me the gun.
When you were in there, did you see where the gun was?
No,
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's fine. Yeah, so I'm, everyone's kind of staring and looking at me at this point. And walking in and seeing that was super fucking awful too. So I kind of come out here. I'm like over here at this point, kind of away from everything. Dave brought me the gun. I take all of them out. The first one I take out has been discharged. And it, like I told you, at first I thought it could be one of those old dummies. But it could have been a live round by all means. And once you showed me that, what they pulled out of Joel later, yeah, it kind of seemed more like that. But yeah, so I pull all of them out, and the other 5 were still dummies, just fine.
Okay. So Dave brings it out, hands it to you. Is it open or closed at this point?
It's closed.
Okay. Hands it to you. Where do you inspect it?
It was like still really situation to me. So I was either right there or I was right there
When you opened it?
when I checked the gun. I'm pretty sure I got it here and like we had kind of walked away with it, you know? Yeah,
So you said that you emptied the gun, right?
yeah.
Where did you empty it?
I took it out, put it in my hand, and then I handed them to Sarah, and I said, go check that fucking box. I got it from that box.
And what to Sarah?
The dummies and everything, and the shell
So everything that you
had in my hands went to Sarah.
just handed it to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just handed it to her, and,
I'm sorry, Corporal, just a point of clarification. What is Ms. Gutierrez saying that she handed to Ms. Zachary?
That she handed the ammunition that she took out of the revolver to Sarah.
Is that consistent with what she told you on October 21st?
No.
I took the gun, and I kept it in my waistband after that.
Okay. You didn't go check the box?
No, I didn't go check the box. I was freaking out, and Brian, my boss, came over at that point, and Brian took me a little further away to, you know, kind of relieve people looking at me.
And you told Sarah, I didn't want you to leave then after you told Sarah to check the bottom. What happened?
I said, check the box, and she comes over to me a little later, you know, while I'm off to the side, and I said, did you check the box? And she said, and we also had collected the other guns, and Sarah took those as well. And then I was like, did you check the box? And she said, yeah, there were some bad ones in there. And I don't know really what that means. That's just what she said. And I thought that meant like one or two.
Okay.
Two days later, Sarah came to my hotel room after Halyna Hutchins' one of her vigils. And she came up to my room and was checking on how I was doing. And I asked her, I was like, I can't believe somehow there were some bad ones in that box. And she said, Hannah, more than half of that box was bad ones.
And she didn't explain what she meant by bad ones?
She said more than half of that box were bad, which, I mean, it's safe to assume that live.
Okay.
At that point, yeah, it was safe to assume that those were live,
So
mixed in with dummies.
when you emptied out the gun, how many rounds were there?
There was 6.
Okay.
Yeah, one had been discharged.
And do we remember what that one looked like?
No, not really. I took it out at this point, like, still pretty shocked and, like, shaking just thinking about everything. But so, I take it out, I pull all the others out. I'm, like, showing them to Dave, and I'm saying, like, no, like, the others are dummies. Like, what the fuck? How is that in there? And I just, like, look at Sarah, and I, like, after I said that, I was like, I don't know how that happened. They are all dummies except for one. And then I, like, looked at Sarah, and I was like, go check that box right now. And I handed it to her, and so it was pretty quick, and I wasn't even, like, really looking at it. I was just more, like, looking at Dave and just...
Corporal, do you recall on October 21st what Ms. Gutierrez told you in terms of handing the box to Sarah and telling Sarah to check the box?
No, she didn't mention anything about telling Sarah to check it.
Okay. So is that different than what she told you on the 21st?
Yes.
freaking out at that point.
How did you know that one wasn't a dummy?
I'm not sure that it wasn't a dummy still. I mean, now we know really that it could have been a live round, but in my head, I was thinking that might have been one of the old dummies that the primer cap can pop it out.
Okay.
Because those, I don't know, those still, I haven't heard a lot of reports of those, but I know that those did used to exist.
Okay. So after a gun was emptied, I mean, how'd
Do
you
you mind if we take a break?
Yeah,
I'm like
we can do that.
getting a little flustered.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The restroom okay too?
Yeah.
Take a restroom right here.
Wanna let this room?
I'm like, you get a little stuffy.
Totally. Yeah, one minute. Yeah.
Ms. Morrissey, do you know how much longer? I'm wondering if we should take our bathroom break.
Yeah, Your Honor, that's fine, and we weren't anticipating there being downtime, so we'll see if we need to, move the video ahead.
Okay, all right, let's take our bath break. Please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court.
All rise.
You may be seated.
Okay, we are resuming the video at 2:09:08, which is the end of the break of the people on the camera.
Good.
Oh, good. I'm good.
It's fine, I just.
Yeah.
I was
I like your poor dog.
like-
Oh, I know, right?
I don't think we changed anything. My guess is that when they stop laughing, it's gonna go back to normal.
Stay outside.
No? Okay, great.
So I'm not there, I have a 8-month-old German Shepherd who
Oh, my
is,
goodness.
oh no, he's
Oh,
very cute
terror.
right now.
You're really
Absolute hell.
terror, yeah.
He's pretty horrid right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot, that's, sorry.
Mine I had a German Shepherd, like a young one, a few years ago, and like she totally like chewed up all my panties and fucking trashed all my plants.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't let him inside like at all.
Yeah.
He was crate trained from the beginning because I just wasn't gonna deal with that.
Yeah.
I normally don't crate train my dogs, but I've only had Huskies, and so this was the first different one that I had, and he's like the most intelligent thing ever, but he
Yeah.
is like reckless, like
Yeah.
he's insane. Like,
Oh, man.
but I got him because I wanted to breed.
Oh, well, yeah. Those Huskies are pretty.
Oh yeah.
The Huskies.
I love calling German Shepherds. I like calling them Herman Shepherds. I think it's fun. Alright. Yeah.
7th inning stretch.
I know, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally stretched in here. You'll see it. You'll see. Yeah, I totally had you and Alex mixed up in my head. That's so funny.
I have that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I had you guys like, I thought she was Alec, and I talked to her like most of the time. Didn't even realize.
That's Samantha.
Yep, that's Samantha.
Do you want another water?
Corporal, who's the gentleman that just entered the room?
That is Detective Joel Cano.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so going back to those loose rounds that were in your pocket. It's common for you to carry them in your pocket.
Yeah. My
something
dad
that
will
you always
usually carries a couple of like his favorite dummies, you know, like good night safe ones in his pocket, and I do the same. But we had 3 guns dummied up that day, so I used a couple of them on other guns.
Okay, is that why you keep them in your pocket? Is that why you?
Yeah, because just in case, and then also I have another, in the bag, on the bottom of it, you'll probably realize that there's also some dummies in those pockets down there too. I try to keep like at least a good 12 dummies ready in situations.
Those are, but you're talking about the like bags, though, right? I'm talking
Yeah.
about your pants.
Yeah, I'm talking about my pants. Yeah, okay, yeah, I always try to keep like at least 5 or 6 in there.
Do you remember where you pulled those from?
Those came out of one of my old boxes, and we had been using them from the weekend previous, and those were the ones with no primer caps.
So did you have those in your pocket prior to going to lunch?
No, those should have been in the gun already.
No, I'm talking about those that were in your pocket, so.
Yeah, the four without primer caps.
I think you pulled 6 rounds, 6 or 7 out of your pocket.
No, I pulled. I'm pretty sure I pulled the 4 out of there, and then I got the other 2 from the box and shook them as I walked.
No, I'm talking, so the night that you came in for an interview.
Oh yeah, I had some extras. In there. I think I found some more, and I was like, I'll put some more in there just in case.
But do you remember when you put those in your pocket?
No, not exactly.
Before or after lunch?
I don't really remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So then how come you didn't pull from your pockets to load that gun?
Well, I like I told you, I pulled those out earlier, and I totally forgot that there were more in there.
More in where?
More dummies in my pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had forgotten that they were there.
That one last one that you pulled to load the gun, do you remember checking that round?
Yeah.
And what do you remember about it?
Seemed fine to me, and Dave was just kind of in my ear, and so I was shaking it, walking in, and putting it in there.
Okay. But
I just want to follow up on a few things. Over the break, did you have an opportunity to review some of the evidence photos?
Yes.
And did those refresh your memory?
Yes.
The rounds that were found on the top of the prop cart, and I'm not asking about blanks, how many dummy rounds were found on the top of the prop cart, assuming we've gotten the true story that the gun was unloaded at the prop cart?
There were 3 dummy rounds on the top of the prop cart.
And how many live rounds were on the top of the prop cart?
2.
And of the 3 dummy rounds that were on the top of the prop cart, did any of them appear to have depressed primers?
One looked like it had like a semi-depressed primer.
And what about the others?
That they did have primers.
That did not appear depressed.
Correct.
And obviously the live rounds did not have depressed primers.
Right.
Were you also able to, excuse me, were you also able to refresh your memory as to the dummy rounds that Ms. Gutierrez had in her pocket on October 21st during your interview?
Yes.
And how many dummy rounds, if you recall, did she pull out of her pocket to show you during the interview?
She had 6 total.
And of those 6, how many of those had no primer cap at all?
5 of them had no primers, and then one of them was one that she demonstrated the rattled, so the one with the BBs in it.
So you are now familiar with all the different types of dummy rounds that were on that movie set, correct?
Yes.
So if Ms. Gutierrez loaded the gun with dummies and then spun the cylinder for Mr. Halls, would spinning the cylinder enable him to know whether they're dummies or not?
The only way that he would be able to tell just by spinning the cylinder would be with the ones that did not have the primer caps on them. Other than that, if they had a primer cap, he would not be able to tell if they were dummies.
And none of the rounds on the cart were missing primer caps,
Correct.
but she had 5 of them in her pocket
Yes.
that presumably she did not use to load that gun with.
Correct. She did state that she did not pull any rounds out of her pocket to load that gun.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
In your ear until you hear the truth, right?
No, he was in my ear, like, and.
Oh, your radio.
Yeah, there's
Got
always,
it.
there's always a spectrum of
I thought
people
you
in my
meant,
ears.
you
It's
know,
not the
like,
voices.
up here walking.
It's not the voices. It's a ton of people, and you'll see me a lot of the times on set, just take that thing out and throw it as far as I can.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you don't remember when
that's
those
how I
were-
knew when he was telling me. Yeah, I don't remember exactly when those were in my pockets, and honestly, they might have been in my pockets, in a spot where they aren't normally, you know.
Okay. All right, so I have some questions regarding like media statements that you guys have put out.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
And just so you know, like, one of them with Bob got a little crazy, and Bob.
And we're not sure how, trial's fluid, okay? So we're gonna take a break, and you'll have to wait in the deliberation room. Don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. And when we think we're ready for you again, we'll tell the bailiffs. Okay, thank you.
All right.